lesson 3.4, dividing polynomials. So, when we are dividing by a constant, all we're doing is taking the coefficients and constants and dividing them by that digit. So, for example, they're showing you this guy right here. So we've got a trinomial on top, and on the bottom we have a constant for number 3. So, what have they done? They have taken each term and they have written the number 3 under it. And that's what they're showing you. And that's what I show everybody to divide as well. What I would do is I would stick a 3 under each one. And then I would divide and proceed. So, we would stick a 3 or whatever they're dividing by under each term. And then it's easier to see if it's got variables and what you would subtract and get rid of. So, since we're just dealing with constants that we're dividing by, they can only divide with the coefficients. So 9 and 3 give us our 3. Our negative 3 divided by 3 gives us that beautiful little negative 1 there. And then we've got our 6 and our 3 that give us our positive 2. Okay? So they've just shown you step by step what they've done. They've taken each term and divided singly by that digit. Okay? They're doing the exact same thing with example number 2. They've taken each term and now they're dividing by the negative 4 on the bottom. And that's exactly what we're going to do with the next couple examples. So let's take a look at the next few. What about if we put an x on the bottom? What if we throw a couple different variables on the bottom? Well, all we've got to do now is we've got to subtract the variables that are identical. So this is what we would do. So this guy is showing you that they're going to put the 3x underneath both of them. And that's what they've done at this step right here. So they put the 3x underneath each term. And then what they've done is they've taken and they've divided and subtracted exponents. So subtracting the exponents, they have wiped some of them off. So what you notice here is the one on the bottom has completely been wiped off. The guy on the top, only the exponent has been reduced to a digit 1. Okay, so 2 became a 1 on top. That's what's going on there. On the right-hand side, the x is completely reduced. So they got rid of them completely and they disappeared. Because 1 subtract 1 is 0. So when there's 0, exponent 0, remember, exponent 0 just means they disappeared. So you would literally just cross those guys out. That's why they only have a y left over on that last question. Okay? All right. Once they get bigger terms, when they give you more different things on the bottom, so they're giving us more different types of monomials. Here we just had an x on the bottom. Now we're getting 2 variables, an x and a y. All it means is you have to subtract 2 different variables, but you have to match them. Only x can subtract x and only y can subtract y. So we are going to be doing this where we divide the big digits and we subtract the exponents. Okay? So they took negative 25 divided by a negative 5 and got our positive 5. And then there was one little baby x left over. Okay? Because you had x2 subtracting x1. Now we're going to look at this next one right here in the middle. So I've got a 10 divided by a negative 5. That 10 divided by a negative 5, positive divided by negative, gives us that negative there. 10 divided by 5 is a 2, so that's where we get the 2. Now how do I get a y all by itself? What did they do? How do I get the y? How do I get the y all by itself here? They cancel the x's, good. And then what they do? They didn't cancel the y's. They minus the exponents. Yes, they did. So we subtracted exponents on the y's and we got y exponent 1 left over. Okay? Or just y, yeah. And on the next one, what do you notice? There's an x on top and bottom and a y on top and the bottom. But we can't just reduce the whole thing and get rid of it. We have to literally divide the digits. So something divided by itself is always a 1. So a positive divided by a negative gives us our negative. That should be a negative 1 there. Oh, no, we've got a negative here divided by a negative. So we're going to get positive. I just have it all crunched, scribbled on. All right, now we're going to look at it the way we do it with algebra tiles. Okay? So here again is the legend of our algebra tiles. So shaded is positive, white is negative. That's what we're going with these guys. So let's take a look at these. So if we're dividing using the algebra tiles, they're starting with this basic t-chart. So they gave you a t-chart like this, okay? They filled in the bottom, or sorry, the underneath part. They filled this part in. And then what they did was they gave you either the top or the side. They gave you one of them, and you had to find the other one out. Well, these ones aren't so hard, because remember, all we're doing is carrying lines across. So right here, remember, how would they get the top answers? They would have continued the separations and then come across. That's how I get my x and my x. Well, to find the left-hand side out, we need to bring all the lines where the separations come, and on the bottom. And then we would draw a line straight up. So now I've got an x and a 1 and a 1. And now we have to decide what kinds of x's and 1's are they. What would I multiply? A positive times what would give me a negative? What do I multiply by a positive to get a negative answer?
Negative.
A negative. So that means this stick here has to be a negative x. So this guy has to be negative x. He's white. What about these guys? What do I multiply by a positive to get a positive? Only a positive. Okay? So that means these guys have to be shaded. That's why they're shaded. Okay? They're showing the answer right here. Okay? But that's why. Okay? You just follow your lines, draw the lines across, and up and down. Okay? That's all we're doing. Now let's take a look at the page that I gave you in your other pages. So, this is what we have on the other pages. These are the dividing practice questions. So, for dividing, we have the answer on top, divided by one side, gives us the other side. So, it's always area divided by length equals width, or vice versa. Area divided by width equals length. Okay? So, I'm going to divide straight up and down. 8 divided by 8 gives me how big? 4. Sorry, 8 divided by 4. Pardon me. 2, thank you. I said 8 divided by 8. All right, now with our x's, we need to subtract them. x2 subtract x1 leaves us how many?
1.
1. So our final answer is a monomial 2x. Okay, it's a monomial. On the right-hand side, what I would do is I'd write 3w underneath both of them. And then now what I can do is I can go straight up and down. So, I'm going to go with these guys here, and then I'm going to go those guys there. So, negative 6 divided by 3, how many times? Negative divided by positive. Negative 2. Now we got to look at the w's. I've got 2 on top, 1 on the bottom. How many are left? W1. Okay. 9 divided by 3, how many times? Positive 3 times. W's are going to cancel completely. They wipe right off. Okay? Now, when it's written like this, in a left to right sentence, you'll see the little divide sign here. All you've got to do, literally, is draw the divide line, draw the number underneath each of them, and then erase it from the side. Okay? And that makes it easier for you. So if it's written on the side, scribble it out and write it underneath each of them. Okay? Because we're going to go straight up and down. So, 30 divides by 10, 3 times. Subtract the x's. 2 subtract 1. Gives me x to the 1 left over. 20 divides by 10, how many times?
2.
2 times. My x's are going to completely disappear. We have no more x's left over. So that would be my final answer, 3x plus 2. On the right-hand side, letter D. Again, we see something on the end. We have divide by 2x. So I'm going to scribble that out, and I'm going to draw a line right underneath each one. Divide by 2x, each one of them. Okay, because that's how you have to do each question. Okay, we are dividing it straight up and down again. So 2 and 4. Whoa. Alright, we got to divide those guys. We get a 2, subtract your x's. 3 subtract 1 gives you 2 x's left. Negative divided by a positive gives us a negative. 6 divides by 2, 3 times. Your x's, 2 subtract 1 is x to the 1 left over. And now we're going to divide these guys. 8 divided by 2, positive 4 times, and the x's completely disappear because they cancel out. Okay, because 1 divided by 1 is 0. You don't have to write it down. Okay. The next part is all about writing multiplication and division sentences. So, a multiplication sentence would be this. Length times width equals area. So, if I want to do that, I need to write the actual answers out. So, here's my length, here's my width. So, length times width equals area. So I'm going to go 6x times 4x plus 2 gives me my area. And that's how we have to solve this to get the area. So all we do is to solve it, we multiply into the bracket to remove brackets. So a lot of our answers, they're not going to tell us how big x is all the time. A lot of our answers, we just have to solve it as an expression. So this one multiplies in the bracket. So we're going to get 24x exponent 2, because we have a hidden 1 there and a hidden 1 there. And remember, when we multiply, we add exponents on the same letters. Next, we're going to take the 6x, multiply it to that 2. So that 2 and the 6 make a positive 12. The x has to come for the right. So now we found our area statement. That's what area is equal to. So we did length times width. That's our area. So if we want a multiplication sentence, this is our multiplication sentence. This times that equals our area. Now a division sentence is going to be like this. So multiplication sentence is length times width over area. Here we're going to have an area divided by length equals width. So all we're doing is we're taking the answer and we're putting one of the sides on the bottom. And the other guy is going to be the other answer. So it's going to look like this. Just going to erase this so you can see what it looks like after. So, multiplication sentence. Okay, I just put that there. So, our area we found is 24x squared plus 12x's. So whenever we start with a division sentence, we start with the answer first. That means the area. So I'm going to start with my big answer, area. So 24x squared plus 12x's. And then we divide it. We put it on top of something. And we put it on top of one of the sides. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to put it on top of the 4x plus 2. And then we say equals the other side, 6x. So, these two things right here, the 6x and the 4x plus 2, they can trade spots. It doesn't matter which one goes where. They can trade spots. Okay? So this is your answer, divided by one side equals another side. Okay? And that's how your division works. Okay? This concludes Unit 3 and Lesson 3.4 on dividing polynomials.